Hi, I'm sitting here on the banks of the Kunene River. Behind me is Angola, in front of me Namibia, and I've just had the most fantastic holiday. In fact, it wasn't so much a holiday as an adventure, which started off in Windhoek. I was met by Schoeman of the Schoeman family, pioneers of the Skeleton Coast. Andre proved to be a superb pilot and guide, and a virtual encyclopedia of information. Soon we left the greenery of Windhoek behind and headed for the well-known Gamsberg Observatory. Our destination, Valley. Below, a petrified dune stood out as the only landmark for miles. The recent rain brought an unusual change to this landscape. To see pools of water scattered across the normally dry desert wilderness of Valley was a wonderful experience. Andre landed in what seemed to me like the middle of nowhere, so that we could explore the area on foot. The dunes surrounding Valley are said to be among the highest in the world. The view from the top can be full of surprises. We headed back to the Cessna 210, escorted by 2 airport attendants, and I looked down, appreciating the fact that I was on a high-wing aircraft, ideal for taking photographs. We pressed on out to the coast to see the seal colonies and cormorants which line the shores and feed on the shoals of fish served by the cold Benguela current. The Atlantic Ocean is known to have wreaked havoc along the coast, and there was many a shipwreck tossed on the beach to prove it. They lay in state like fossils and left me pondering about the people who had been on board. A flock of flamingos escorted us into Swakopmund. We met the rest of our group, a family from the UK, whose company we enjoyed for the rest of the trip. Our first picnic spot was a short hop up the coast, just north of the Cape Cross seal colony, and this time we landed on the beach. A light lunch of salads and cold meats was served literally on the wing, with a good view of the last metallic remains of the wreck of the Winston. The rusty cogs were a photographer's delight. We headed out over the Huab Formation, fascinating layers of sediment which were bent and twisted when the continents collided. There are no words to describe the vastness of this area, and Andre, like the rest of the Schoeman family, spent his childhood here and has developed a vast knowledge of every aspect of this fascinating landscape. As Andre spoke, I began to appreciate the tenacity of life in the desert, where nature capitalizes on every opportunity wrested from the elements. The welwitschia plant flourishes on the moisture brought in by the fog, which rolls in from the coast each evening. Other interesting plants were the dollar bush and the elephant foot. Kuidas camp is built amongst the red lava formations of the Huab River. The red gravels contrasted starkly with the green lining of the riverine oasis. The accommodation in all the camps was neat, clean and comfortable, and the showers remarkably effective. sunrise and a healthy breakfast was served in the shade of the lapa, accompanied by a few feathered friends. A short walk into the hills behind the camp once again unfolded more of the history of the area, the story of the Khoisan people and the caves in which they sheltered, the delicate blends of ochre, blood and plant juices that they used to do their rock art, especially when one considers the limited materials at their disposal. We all pass this bushman's grave. Adding a rock to the mound guarantees us the blessing of our ancestors as we travel on our way. We crossed the Huab River by Land Rover to see the astonishing rock formations known as the organ pipes. To geologists, the volcanic activity of the past is laid bare in the craggy, steel-like shards. We took to the sky again, heading northwards to Terrace Bay, where Andre had promised to show us the roaring dunes. We wandered along the rocky beach collecting pretty stones amongst the skeletons of seals and sharks, while Andre and John refueled the aircraft. Andre lined us up, and as we moved, an eerie sound seemed to come from the sky above.
Now we have a competition.
It's just like yeah, it does. It's definitely bombers. A close inspection of the dune revealed a kaleidoscope of colors. Garnets, unique to this area. A formation takeoff saw us on our way to Puros Camp with its unique Makalani palm trees. Next morning, we enjoyed another sumptuous breakfast on the banks of the Haorusib River. Next on the program, a scenic drive to trail the desert elephant. About an hour from camp, we come across the elephant spoor. The dung was still fresh. We were in luck. These animals travel almost 60 kilometers a day to reach water. They're the same species as the other elephant of Africa, but have adapted to survive the conditions of the Kouakaveld. As we flew further and further north, I was struck once again with the enormity and isolation of the desert. We landed on this vast, wide open plain and headed by Land Rover to the next picnic spot, the only shade for miles under an ancient rock shelter. The drive to Kunene camp was an adventure in itself, the Land Rovers proving their mettle over and over again. By now, we were accustomed to the gradients that these vehicles handle. Ever aware of conservation issues, John and Andre were careful to stick to the soft sand, leaving the harder gravels, which take centuries to recover, undisturbed wherever possible. Sidewinder snake is no stranger to the desert. While we struggled to get our Land Rover out of the sand, a black-backed jackal viewed us with suspicion. Sunrise and the camp stirs. Time for the traditional morning tea, served by our versatile guide.
Morning. You like a cup of tea?
A visit to a nearby Himba settlement was one of the highlights of the tour. As Western civilization encroaches, a symbiotic relationship has developed between Skeleton Coast safaris and the Himba. They are nomads and farm goats and supplement their diet with fell food and water from the Kunene River. The Kunene River forms the northern border of Namibia and is also its only perennial river, a literal oasis which draws to its banks many species of birds and animals. And it's here that our story ends. Our friends continued on to Etosha and from there returned to England. My mind is full and expanded with memories of a journey I will never forget. So if you really want to get away from it all and you're looking for a holiday that's filled with adventure, I can really recommend the safari.